And radio host Alex Jones is talking to us from Texas for more reaction. Good to see you there, Alex. So I'm curious, what stood out to you the most out of this release, out of all these revelations, whether it was U.S. diplomats ordered to spy on UN or the United States seeking to remove uranium from Pakistan? What stood out to you?
Well, overall, we know that some of the most propagandized and brainwashed people in the world are military officers of all major militaries, diplomatic corps. They are fed compartmentalized disinformation. So just like the American people were lied to about WMDs or nuclear weapons in Iraq that could destroy England in 45 minutes, I mean, that was being fed to people at the highest levels of the Pentagon. That was being fed by special intelligence groups, the Office of Special Plans within the Pentagon, to George Bush and to Dick Cheney back in 2001, 2002, 2003. And so out of these 250,000 documents, there are some gems in there, giving us an inside view into what's happening with the U.S. Superpower of this empire that's in decline. But overall, a lot of it is just an echo chamber of some of the same disinformation that we've seen over and over again. And as we have more time to analyze the 250,000 documents, we'll find out if this is a real leak or if this was packaged and given to WikiLeaks. I'm not saying WikiLeaks is bad, but they may have been fed this. The system has to put some real information in.
Fed by who, Alex?
Well, we're dealing with a global government that's run by the Fortune 100, and they use nations like pawns. And the United States has been used to empower this world government, this corporate government, to basically finance it and to be the military might of it. And now we're entering a new phase where the United States is going to be hung out to dry and blamed for the world financial meltdown instead of going after the 6 megabanks. And so I think within this, it signifies entering a new phase in this corporate world government. But what really stood out to me was things like what the Guardian's reporting on. Saudi Arabia urges U.S. attack on Iran to stop nuclear program. I mean, we've gotten hints of this, but now we see what a big driver Saudi Arabia is, not just Israel, in the push to attack Iran. We see the Pentagon with a lot of rhetoric against Russia, saying that it's moving towards a police state, which in some extent you could say is true, but so is the United States. The entire world is moving towards a police state, and that's because the entire world is being nudged and guided by these private corporate interests that have robbed the planet of $1.5 quadrillion through derivatives, and they need police state measures in every nation so they can get away with the looting of the population. So I see a lot of this is just a regurgitation of propaganda and disinformation that we've seen put out by the Anglo-American establishment based here in the United States and England.
But can't the United States sort of bring this issue to light and say, look, we have been pressured by our Arab allies to take direct action against Iran, yet we're going the diplomatic route. You know, we're trying to go by sanctions. You know, we don't want to have a full-scale war with Iran. Can't the Obama administration say, we're doing what we promised to do, taking the diplomatic approach here?
I agree with you, and we haven't had time. No one has to go through this 250,000 documents that were released yesterday. So we don't know if this was packaged and bundled because on the whole, it pushes kind of the U.S. establishment's view, or could it be that the Western media is cherry-picking things that they can spin in an attempt for damage control? I mean, I think overall WikiLeaks is a good organization. I'm just a little bit suspicious about some of the things that I've seen focused on in the past and the way that they chose to work with the mainstream media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, with the White House. Now we see them turning against the White House. So this is really a cloak and dagger situation, and I don't think any of us right now know exactly what's going on. I do think that Julian Assange's credibility went up quite a bit when we started seeing these criminal investigations and indictments and things, and we'll see. I mean, if he gets imprisoned or if he gets assassinated in the near future, then that will add a lot of credibility to what WikiLeaks is doing. But overall, this is a gigantic story, and I'll be watching RT to see the reportage that you guys put out on this.
And obviously, the information wasn't just given to American media outlets, and it was pretty interesting to see reaction from different outlets. For example, Britain's Daily Mail quotes someone as saying that this has plunged the United States into a, quote, unprecedented diplomatic crisis, while other analysts say they don't really foresee any lasting damage to those international relationships.
Sure.
The French government spokesman, pledged support for the United States. So which would you agree with here?
Well, I mean, to be clear, just previously, I'm not saying they didn't share it with everybody this time. They did, and then you notice they were hacked by people connected to the Pentagon. At least that's what the news is reporting. I was talking about the last big, 100,000 plus documents that were released. But I think time will tell. As we have time to go through more of the documents, the mainstream media globally knows that people have about a 24-hour attention span, and so the spin right now is coming out of some outlets that this is incredibly damaging and the biggest diplomatic disaster of all time and really hurts the United States. Others are spinning it that it shows that the government really is worried and trying to protect us from Pakistan and nukes and trying to do the right thing and trying to protect us from the Russians and, but being reasonable, when it comes to the Saudi Arabians wanting us to attack Iran. Again, we'll find out in the days and weeks to come as we get a full spectrum analysis of this, exactly what's happening. But there's no doubt this is a gigantic story, and we're trying to plow through these tens of thousands of documents. It is suspicious that the WikiLeaks site got brought down before some folks could download all the material, but the press has been reporting that quite a few outlets did get the entire data cache. But, I mean, a lot of this is already known, that there are spies from the U.S. government in friendly nations, that there are spies from the U.S. government all over the United Nations. Well, that's what every country does. Even the poorest country, has spies there in the UN, basically pushing their agenda. So I think more and more this is just reality coming out into the open, and it's more about the fact that the alternative media is so powerful now, and there's so many other alternative voices in mainstream international media that membrane between alternative media and mainstream media is becoming so thin that this information is starting to come out.
So you're saying that some of the information here, not really a surprise at all. Radio host Alex Jones for The Alex Jones Show.